Okay, so on the front side of 9.9, you were given the trinomial and you were given one of the factors, and your job was to find the missing factor. We talked about the strategy of x times x being x squared and looking at what two numbers multiply to give me the constant. And so now your job is to be able to find both of those factors. You will not be given one of the factors on this back page. And so let's talk about how we can do that. We're going to use what's called guess and check. And guess and check sounds like you just keep trying things until you're done. And that's essentially what it is. But we can be thoughtful in our tries, okay? And so, again, to factor means that we are going to write as multiplication. And so I'm going to go ahead and get myself set up here. I've got two things that are going to be multiplied together. And I'm going to represent that by using parentheses with my two groups. And we know that in order to get x squared, I have to multiply x times x. And so that's pretty straightforward. So let's come over to our steps box. The first thing that we did is we set up two factors. Okay. Now, and then we did, so set up our two factors and we split that x squared up into x and x. That's pretty straightforward. Now, the trick is to figure out what multiplies to get this constant. Remember, on the front side, you were given one of the factors. And so we could say, well, what number times 3 gives me 6? Well, in this case, I have to come up with both sets of factors. So I want to come up with numbers that multiply to 10. Well, 1 times 10 gives me 10, and 2 times 5 gives me 10. But technically speaking, -1 times -10 gives me 10, and -2 times -5 also gives me 10. So I really need to be thoughtful about both positive and negative combinations and pick the one that works. Okay, and so I'm just going to go ahead and pick this first set. I'll do it in green and see what happens. So if I put a +1 and a +10, and how do I know if these are correct? Well, I can distribute to check. So x times x gives me x squared, and x times 10 is 10x. I'm going to come back and distribute my 1. So 1 times x is x, and 1 times 10 is 10. And if I combine my like terms, I get x squared plus 11x plus 10. Okay, so I have the plus 10 and I have the x squared, but that 11x does not match my 7. So that means that I get to try again, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this check here. Now, what I like to do is I like to keep track of the things that I've tried. So either off to the side, I need to cross out my pairs here to know that I've tried that, or you could cross this out and get a new set of parentheses going. Your choice. Either way, you're able to visually see I tried this pairing and it didn't work, and so I've got to go and try a new pairing. All right, I'm going to try the 2 and the 5. And so again, x times x is x squared, and I'm going to do +2 and +5. And so let's check it. X times x is x squared, and x times 5 is 5x. All right, come back and distribute the 2, and so 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 5 is 10. And when I combine the middle, I get x squared plus 7x plus 10, and that matches what was given to me. And so my final answer, which says I should write it there, but I'm out of space. And so my final answer are the factors that work. It says to factor, and so I'm going to say x plus 2 and x plus 5. By the way, I could have written this as x plus 5 and x plus 2. And if I distribute that out, I get the same thing. So your answer is either of those. All right, let's come back over to our steps. So the next thing that we did is that we listed the factors of the constant. So we listed factors of 10. And then we tried something. So try a pair of factors, and then we check the product. in order to make sure that it worked. And so we're going to say use distributive property to check. I'm going to add something to this here in a little bit, so I have a little bit of room left there, and that's okay. All right, and so I would like to do a couple here with you guys, okay? All right, and so let's try this first one here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my two groups, and I've got x times x. And I need to find factors of 24. So factors of 24 would be 1 times 24 and 2 times 12 and 3 times 4. That's not true. 3 times 8. 3 times 8 and 4 times 6. There we go. Of course, I could do all the negatives of those, but notice that my problem doesn't have any negatives in it. And so if my problem doesn't have any negatives in it, I don't need to bother with the negative numbers. Okay, so let's give it a try. I'm going to try plus 1 and plus 24. Now, remember I said that I wanted to add a little extra something up here. Okay, here's my little extra something. Friends, I already know that x times x is x squared. And I already know that 1 times 24 is 24. That's why I split it up that way. So what I really need to check is this outside product. X times 24 is 24x plus this inside product. And if I add those together, I get 25x. That does not match the middle term. So what I'm really doing is I'm checking the outer product plus the inner product to see if the two factors I chose are going to work the best. 24 and 1 did not work the best. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is, just for sake of room, I'm going to erase. If you want to use Post-it notes off to the side, I think that would be super helpful. I'm going to cross off 1 and 24. Now, you might be looking at your options like 2 and 12 and 3 and 8 and 4 and 6, and you might try to figure out which one is going to be the most efficient for you. Or you might be looking at them and saying, yeah, I'm not really sure, so I'm just going to move on. Okay, so I've got x and x gives me x squared. We'll try 2 and 12. And again, I know that x times x is x squared. I know that 2 times 12 is 24. That's why I chose those. So I really just want to check the outside product, 12x, plus the inside product, 2x. When I do that, I get 14x. All right, that didn't work. And so we're going to try again. You might be screaming at me, Hassler, try this, try this, try this. All right, I will. So let's try 4 and 6. Let's see if 4 and 6 work. So I've got x plus 4 and x plus 6. Again, I know that x times x is x squared. I know that 4 times 6 is 24. So I really want to check the outer product, 6x, plus the inner product, 4x. And I get 10x. Yes. Here's what that means. That means that my final answer are these two factors right here. These are my factors, x plus 4 times x plus 6. When I multiply those together, I get the trinomial of x squared plus 10x plus 24. All right, I'm going to try problem number 3. And so again, in problem number 3, I'm going to go ahead and split this into my two groups. All right, I've got x squared split into x and x. And I need factors of 6. All right, so 6 would be 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. Now, I notice that I do have a subtraction here. So because I have a subtraction, I'm going to consider negative numbers. But in order to get a positive 6, I'd have to multiply two negative numbers. So negative 1 and negative 6, and negative 2 and negative 3. And again, because I have this subtraction in the middle, I'm going to start actually with these choices right here, these two negatives. It seems reasonable that since two negatives multiply to a positive and there's a negative in my problem, I'm likely going to have some negatives to deal with. All right, so let's do it. -1 and -6. And let's check. Again, x times x is x squared. I know -1 times -6 is +6. That's why I chose these factors. So outside product is -6x. Inside product is -x. When I add those, I get -7x. Oh, that doesn't match the middle. Okay, so it can't be that choice, which is fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of what I've tried. I'm going to cross that off. I've tried that one. All right, so let's try this next pair of negatives. I've got x minus 2 and x minus 3. All right, so again, I'm going to check the outside product. That is not my outside product. I'm going to check my outside product, which is -3x, and my inside product, which is -2x. When I add those together, I get -5x. Yay! All right, what that means is that my final factors are x minus 2 and x minus 3. By the way, it could be written as x minus 3 and x minus 2. It does not matter which order we write these factors in. You can multiply in any order. Okay. Let's try something like, I'll do 6. Okay. So problem 6, I'm going to start off by saying x and x. And I need factors of, okay, now pay attention here. I've got factors of -15. And what that means is that one of my factors has to be positive and the other has to be negative. So -1 times +15, -3 times 5, or 1 times -15, and 3 times -5. Right? To multiply and get a negative number, one of the two numbers has to be negative. All right, let's give it a try. I'll try -1 and 15. I'm going to check my outside product, 15x. My inside product, -x, and that adds up to 14x. That's not going to do it for me. And so I'm going to have to try again. You might start to recognize or notice patterns that you might just decide that you want to try something that you think is going to work. I think based on some signs here, I got to add to 2x here in the middle. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and try this next set. I got a -3 and I've got a +5. So outside product is 5x. Inside product is -3x. And that adds to 2x, which is what I want. So that's perfect. And that means that this is my answer. These are my factors, x minus 3 times x plus 5. And again, by the way, it could be x plus 5 times x minus 3. It could be that. That would work as well. Okay. All right, let's try problem 8. So again, problem 8. I've got my two groups here. X squared is split into x and x. And this time we need factors of, all right, negative again. So -12 means that I got -1 times 12, -2 times 6, and -3 times 4, or I could do 1 times -12, 2 times -6, or 3 times -4. Okay? To multiply to -12, one of my factors has to be negative. Now, I think you're catching on here with me a little bit, and you might decide that, wow, that's 6 options, and I just want to be as efficient as possible. That's the goal with factoring, is to be efficient. And so I want my numbers to get, to -1, which means the numbers that I choose should be pretty close together. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one to start. All right, so I've got a -3 and a +4. So outside product is a 4x. Inside product is a -3x, and that adds up to a +1x. Hey, that's really close. I need -1x. All right, so I'm going to cross this off. That didn't work. And I got really close, though, to it working. And so what other combo would be really close that might make it work? Well, let's try the combo of x plus 3 and x minus 4. Let's just switch the signs on those. All right, outside product is a negative 4x. Inside product is a 3x. And that gets me a negative 1x, which is what I want. And so these are my factors. So you want to be smart in the choices that you're making when you're trying to come up with factors that could work. All right, so I have to think about what multiplies to the constant. What sign combination do I need? Do I need them to be opposite signs or the same signs? And how am I going to get this number in the middle when I check my outer and inner products? I'm going to do one more with you, okay? And I'm going to do number 9 with you. Now, if I take a look at problem 9, I notice that I'm missing something. Okay, I am missing a middle term. I'm actually going to rewrite this as x squared plus 0x minus 4. That gets me thinking about the fact that I have a trinomial, and so I need to break this up into two groups, x and x, and I need factors of negative 4, which means that I need a negative and a positive. So negative 1 times 4 and negative 2 times 2, or 1 times negative 4. I guess we could say 2 times negative 2, but that really kind of feels the same as the first one. What do you recall from the front page? On the front page, we noticed that, well, let's go back to this front side. On the front page, we noticed that, like in this last problem, this problem 14 here, that I had to have x minus 3 because the outer product 3x and the inner product negative 3x is what gave me that 0. And so I'm kind of having that in mind to get that 0 there. I really want to use factors that have the same number but opposite signs. That way the outer and inner product cancel. So let's try it. X minus 2, x plus 2. All right, outside product is 2x, inside product is negative 2x, and that gives me the 0, which is what I wanted, which means that this is my final factored answer. So when you're missing that middle term, I think it's helpful to write 0x as a reminder of what your outer and inner product should add to. As you guys continue to factor, you might get more and more comfortable that you just start to see patterns that work for you, and that's okay. The idea with factoring is to be quick and efficient if possible. And the more you practice factoring, the quicker and more efficient you will be. All right, your job is to finish this page, this back page here, by giving factoring a try. And we will practice more tomorrow.